that it may look simple on a piece of paper. It's one of the most difficult tracks to set up for. It's got bumps, it's got high-speed corners, low-speed corners, quite a high average speed, and it's a real challenge.
It certainly is, and some of the challenges, Neil, come from the disparity of turn 1 and turn 2 versus the rest of the track. They're very fast corners to start the lap, and there's only a couple of left-handers on this layout. Only 6 corners and roughly 47% of full throttle for the year. This is an important start for these guys. Courtney, their heart rate, 130 beats per minute. Caruso, McLaughlin on the front row of the grid. This will be a real test for these guys to make the cars walk off the line. So let's take a look at the Fuso starting grid with Scott McLaughlin, 5 pole positions so far this year. Michael Caruso, a season best to be on the front row for Nissan Motor Company. Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes, as you would expect, towards the pointy end of the field. Whincup had some brake dramas. Interesting to see how that rolls out. Van Gisbergen alongside Rick Kelly. Great job, Rick, to be 6th. Chaz Mostert, the first forward for the factory Ford team at FPR, alongside Nick Percat, Tim Slade. Both Tim Slade and Nick Percat have actually been very good this weekend in terms of speed, and they've actually qualified in front of Garth Tander and James Courtney. Mark Winterbottom, the series leader, in 11th. There's Courtney, did a great job in the previous race. Jason Bright's had a few issues through the weekend. Will Davison there now, 15th. That makes all 5 manufacturers in the top 15 and within 0.3 of a second. Dave Reynolds back further than he would like. He did a really good job in the previous event. James Moffat, despondent so far this weekend. Lee Holdsworth forged his way forward in the previous race, did a great job. Russell Ingall and Jack Perkins, Ingall and Perkins alongside each other, the history of our sport unfolding. And David Wall, 25th.
That's your Fuso starting grid, all 25 cars, tight margins between everybody. It'll be all about track position as always, particularly at this location. In this unique scenario, you've got to go back. I think Aaron dropped the fact into his news segment earlier, back to 1986 to find a Volvo and a Nissan on the front row of the grid back in the day.
So was that Francevic and Bow and Fury?
George Fury.
Yeah, there you go. So very interesting.
Guys, if I can just recap as the guys come around to grid up. So we're in race 23 of 38 in our championship here today. We've got 100 kilometres, 33 laps. The thing I like about this sort of racing, it's a soft tyre race, no pit stops. You don't need a pit stop. A tank of fuel will do 42 laps. We've only got 33. So the guys are going to drive these cars as fast as they can. And I'm really interested to see what happens back in the pack. Mark Winterbottom now has got Jamie Whincup just 72 points behind him in the championship. That's going to be interesting to watch, as is this guy. You can see here Rich Holloway talking Scotty up. He needs to get right up on the box. He can't take his front wheels past it. There you go. And there you are, Caruso on the front low as well. Very important, the dirty line is on the far side. That's where Scott is. He's got the advantage of the inside line, but the downside is that's very dirty over there. This will be not necessarily won or lost, but very much influenced by the next 1 kilometre.
Yeah, well done, Lucko. And look how dirty the circuit is from the DVS race. There's stuff all over the road. And as you said, McLaughlin's on the dirty side of the road on the inside.
Michael Caruso in the Norton Nissan. Best so far this season, a 5th in New Zealand. Alongside him, Scotty McLaughlin on the pole, a race winner in Western Australia.
Green flag.
Filth on the road, they'll need to be mindful of that. On board with Rick Kelly. V8 thunderous start. And a great jump by both the guys on the front row of the grid. Nothing in it on the run to 1. If they make even the tiniest error, the Red Bull Holdens will pounce.
Pull back in behind, get back in behind. Good job. I didn't think he was going to have room then. He got it back in just in front of Jamie Whincup.
Caruso dropped the left rear off the edge of turn 2 for a moment, so he immediately covers in the braking area down at 2. And up on the outside of him is Whincup, winner of the previous race. Lowndes in 4th. Rick Kelly's made a ripping start. He's alongside Van Gisbergen and well positioned on the run down to 4. 3 wide off turn 3. That's evil.
Caruso under pressure here from Whincup at turn 4. He needs to get on with it now. Stop looking in the rear vision mirror and look forward, because he's got to make sure that at the end of this lap, he keeps Whincup at bay.
big disparity in cold tyre performance between the first two in the field at the moment. McLaughlin is bolting as they come through turn 6 at the end of the first lap. Caruso taking a moment to get steady, get the brake temps up, get the tyre temperatures up, find the grip and the balance. He was very strong in the previous. Continued to set fastest laps of the race, and there's plenty of rocks flying at the rear.
He almost fed him in. That was massive there. Dale Wood and Russell Ingall. Russell almost went into the fence on the left-hand side down the start-finish straight. They made contact, and fortunately, they just got interconnected and... oh, man, I thought he was in. I thought he was on the left-hand side wall.
It's 1.1 seconds the margin between McLaughlin and Caruso. Immediately now, Caruso is beginning to find his feet. It'll be the difference in cold starting pressures because he's got a quick car. Caruso, the fastest man in Sector 1 already. But a tremendous opening lap there for McLaughlin. Look at the margin he's got as they disappear out of turn 4. Here's Jack Perkins. He's in dispute with David Wall. Turn 4. These fellas down the order. This is the battle for 22nd and 3rd. Then Dale Wood. Mark made mention of that battle a few moments ago. Russell Ingall was tangled up in it. There's a big moment coming out of turn 6. Caruso going on with this quick second lap as we're watching Lee Holdsworth down the inside here. Lee up to 20th position.
We saw Garth Tander make great ground in the previous race, Neil, but he's made great ground at the start of this race also. He started 12th, he's now 8th. He's up 4 spots in 2 laps.
Caruso, fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 10.3, and he's exactly 1.3 seconds behind McLaughlin. So he's pulled clear now of Whincup. This confirms the form that we saw in the earlier race today, but he's got to now narrow down that margin, but he needs to do it carefully. Does not need to tear up these tyres too soon. Gillette Mac 3 replay of the start. Watch the two off the front row. Both of them very even, neither of them giving a millimetre. And if there was one slight hiccup, you had Whincup ready to pounce. They tried to go side by side through one. They kind of got it done, and then Michael recognised that you need to get to the inside for turn 2 because it's no man's land on the outside there. It's a bird's eye view of the top 4 through turn 1.
And look at this. This is the spot we were saying, because Caruso was on the outside there. He just got snuck in across in front of Whincup, and that was a pivotal move. If he didn't get across to the inside, Whincup would have taken that spot. This is another angle. Around the outside is Caruso. This is the move of the race so far. A little bit more brake pressure, turns it in, gets it in behind the Volvo, and maintains position 2. Last lap, a 10.5 for McLaughlin, a 10.7 for Caruso, a 10.8 for Whincup, a 10.6 for Lowndes.
And McLaughlin picked his pace up on that last lap, and on this particular lap has actually matched the sector splits with Caruso. So they're lying ball at the moment with their car performance. Tim Slade on the outside of James Courtney, effectively teammates, and then Winterbottom in behind them. These guys battling for 11th, 12th and 13th. We're on board with Frosty watching the two Holden guys disputing the run under brakes into 4. This will be awkward for James. He's in a bad spot here. He's well and truly exposed to a move by Winterbottom. And Mark will do everything to try and punch the nose of the Ford up the inside. Couldn't quite get there. Tim tries to ease to the right, but he's got another Holden Commodore there. And now Winterbottom's actually giving him a bit of a hand on the run into 6. And Winterbottom will get up the inside of Slade. He's done that nicely. And he'll be well positioned when they get down to turn 1. So Mark Winterbottom grabs a spot.
Well, Slade was too nice to Courtney. He let him drive around the outside of turn 5. And then as it turned out, Winterbottom shoved James Courtney down the inside of Tim Slade and gave him another 2 or 3 kilometres an hour. Now Bright fires up the inside of Slade at turn 2. This is a great battle, a really good exchange. We saw Winterbottom and Courtney have a great finish to race 23. And that was pretty wild when he shoved him down the inside of Slade. I reckon he gained 3 or 4K then just to get that little manoeuvre made.
It was a fairly solid push.
Here's the background. Check this out. Ingall gets a little bit wide. He comes back on. They make a little bit of contact. He moves it across. Dale Wood wide. And then Ingall moves across. He almost got rotated into the start-finish fence then. That was close.
Mike Emery.
Mike Emery, yeah. There's a replay of that.
Those with a good memory.
Many years ago, Russell Ingall turned a gentleman called Mike Emery into the fence in very similar circumstances. about 99 or 2000? 2000, yeah.
1.4 seconds is the gap between McLaughlin and Caruso. It's Volvo leads Nissan. Leads a bunch of holds, then Rick Kelly trundling along nicely there in 6th at the moment as well. Nick Percat, Garth Tander, Chaz Mostert, Fabian Coulthard is having trouble with his radio at the moment. We'll take a quick break. It's a wild super slow-mo replay there. Shane Van Gisbergen on the wrong side of the Vallelunga curbing and in the cockpit of the car, and the vibration that goes through it is huge. Through the steering wheel, through the chassis, you can feel it in the seat. And stop and consider the loads that are going through tyres and suspension at that point. Great battle going on here between Whincup and Lowndes, just as it was in the previous event. These guys are battling for 3rd and 4th at the moment, and they're chasing McLaughlin and Caruso, who just checked out a little. They're about 4 seconds up the road. Well, that is, I say they, it's really Scotty that's 4 seconds up the road. It's a 1.4 second gap between McLaughlin and Caruso. It's going to be a little bit careful here. They are both running their own race, but they don't fumble each other's pace to the extent that they're exposed then to Van Gisbergen and they lose touch with the leaders. They'll be acutely aware of that inside the bunker at Red Bull Racing Australia.
And I was talking to Mark Dutton about this, the team manager at Red Bull, after race 23, that there was very little difference in the speed and the performance of both these cars, and they tuned them differently in the race. So what they were really impressed with Jamie was that he come up with the front bar, which meant that he stiffened the front of the car and he kept the rear tyre on the car. So that meant, from a consistency standpoint, that at the end of the race, Whincup had better tyre condition than Craig Lowndes. And it was more of how they tuned the car in the race. So as these battles all unfold, this will change a lot as they get further into the race, because it was 2/3 of the way through last one when the tyre got to that condition.
That was for position. Mostert just grabbed a spot over Garth Tander, goes now into position 8. He's behind Nick Percat. Here it is Mach 3 replay shows what happened down at turn 6 last corner. Actually, there's a little bit of push there, and that'll be looked at carefully in race control. And generally, if there's a bump and run like that, they're looking for the driver, if he's committed an offence, to regress it. This little battle goes on and continues between Winterbottom and Courtney. It's really been going. It's been interconnected through the 2 races, and James is out well wide there, right at the absolute extent of the racetrack. And Mark Winterbottom's going to have to go the long way here. Remember, he's got a championship at stake, so he can't be quite as cheeky as he might otherwise be, although he's not showing any sign of that at the moment. He's having a big go.
He caught too much curb then, so when he did the crisscross, he hit the curb too hard. The car wouldn't settle, which meant that he couldn't stay on the throttle and get up the inside for turn 5. But it was the right move. It's the right style of move. Look at the way that Courtney trails the brake pedal all the way into the corner there.
And remember that even though James, the Holden Racing team at the moment, Victorian-based, they tested Winton and they had a recent test. He's done a lot of miles here over the years. When he was with Dick Johnson Racing and Jim Beam, he was also with Stone Brothers. Now, I want to draw your attention to the glare through turn 2. The sun's getting pretty low in the west there, right at the critical moment where you're trying to find the apex of the turn and pick the throttle up. Can't see. James Courtney had big understeer there. He's vulnerable down here. Frosty's going to have 5Ks on him by the time they get on the brake pedal. That's a position. That's the exact illustration of the difficulties of turn 2.
Well, it couldn't have been better. He missed the apex, and there would be a lot to do with not being able to see that part of the corner. It's such a long corner also that if you do get blinded by that sunlight, you just don't know where you are in terms of location. Courtney missed that apex by at least a car width.
That's James on the radio talking about the car being nervous.
From the front bar of 3.7, front bar 3.7.
So that's Rob Starr. He wants the front of the car to be stiffer for it to just stabilise a little bit. So James is just trying to get the car to settle down a little bit at the moment. Must be dancing around too much to his, not to his satisfaction. And he's done, I was making the point earlier, he's done a lot of laps around here for Stone Brothers and for Dick Johnson Racing. He knows the feeling that he's trying to achieve here to be successful. Here's the replay from the other side. So he's miles from the apex there. Slow exit means that he gets to 100% throttle later than Mark Winterbottom, which effectively makes the Falcon look like it's going quicker in a straight line because he comes off the corner a few Ks stronger, gets his foot in earlier.
And what Rob Starr was saying to James Courtney is exactly what I was talking about with Mark Dutton's comments about Jamie Whincup in the previous race. If you stiffen the front of the car rather than softening the rear, the balance of the car basically means that you look after the rear tyre in a different way. So the roll stiffness of the car is shifted towards the front, and the way that you can then creep the car off the corner, make sure that you don't get too much wheel spin, contain the amount of load to the rear of the car is really important in terms of consistency.
Yeah, it's a good point, Scafie. And I know Will Davidson did that in the first race, actually brought his front bar up stiffer for that exact reason and found some performance there. But I was having a chat to Jeremy Moore, Craig Lowndes' engineer, about what they do in this race. How do they recover from what happened to them in the first one? Jamie really nailed them over that course of that race distance. And really, he said, we looked at the data, we had a look where Jamie was strong and where we were strong, and where we were weak. And where they were weak, as we saw, was off the slower corners. So Craig needed to find some drive. They've done some things to do that, and 50% of that is car and 50% of that is driver. So it's going to be interesting to see on this cooler circuit if Craig can manage his tyres better than he did last time. So far, so good.
You're sitting on the back of the Jack Daniels Nissan like Humpty Dumpty at the moment on the rear bumper, looking out the back and watching all the action behind, and it's Nick Percat in position 7. Wouldn't be a nice place to sit, would it? He got a season best 5th in Adelaide earlier in the year. This is going to be a good result if he stays where he is. Take a break. This is a big nail-biter for the gang at Nissan Motorsport because they might add their name to the winner's circle today. Look at that margin closing down. McLaughlin to Caruso, 0.5 of a second. And a reminder, Sydney Motorsport Park 400 is our next event, August the 22nd, and you can win one of 10 hot laps by going to the V8 Supercar website. All you've got to do is purchase a 3-day event ticket to the event and jump on the website and answer simple questions in 25 words or less, and we'll be announcing winners from Friday the 8th of August. Competition closes on the 16th. Great opportunity to go for a ride, one of these very special racing cars. There are battles up and down the field at the moment. Fabian Coulthard and Mark Winterbottom are involved in a beauty, and look at that margin closing down. So remember that all of the manufacturers have grabbed the top spot at least once so far this year. Nissan is still to do it. There's Gary Rogers on the left-hand side of screen watching his man, Scotty McLaughlin, and he and his engineer, Richard Holway, have spoken in frustration several times this year about the odd balance of trying to understand how to get this car to work, because most of these V8 supercars, based on their weight distribution and the power they make and their tyre behaviour, hurt the rear tyres typically as the journey rolls on. But this car this year has shown a trait where it's tended to hurt its front tyre on occasion. That's given them a bit of a challenge trying to understand how to tune for that as the race progresses. Now at the moment, Caruso is making speed, around about 1/10 of a second in every sector. He's got it down officially to 0.4. Doesn't matter what the math is at the moment, you can see it. He's starting to get within range of having a crack.
And what'll be important now is the coaching from both the engineers on these cars. You heard Richard Holway speak to Scott on the previous lap. Come on, mate, keep it up, keep it up. And it's all about balancing the car in terms of brake bias, in terms of roll stiffness with the front and rear anti-roll bars, and applying yourself to driving it as well as you possibly can. And check that out. Lap 16, 10.9, so it's a 7.962 for both McLaughlin and Caruso. Exactly the same lap time on that lap. On the next lap, right now, 11.02 for McLaughlin, a 10.78 for Caruso. As you can see, the gap is 0.3 of a second. He's got to use his head. He knows he's got speed. He's just got to find the right spot.
Now what's impressive at the moment, watching the body language of the Norton Hornet Nissan Motorsport entry, Michael's placing that car where he wants. He was doing what Scott was doing in that earlier race today, where he's just driving around the white lines because of the accuracy in the front end. He's right on him. He's well within striking range of having a go here at the moment. So Caruso, who's been a race winner before, is starting to threaten for a manoeuvre here for the lead. You've got to go back to 2009 Darwin when he was with Gary Rogers Motorsport. Ironically, the team he's battling at the moment, when he last won 5 years ago and 159 races. It's a big moment for both these teams. For McLaughlin and for Volvo and all their group, it's about consolidating because they've not had the conversion that they want. They've had a bunch of pole positions this year, but only one race win. But for Nissan Motorsport, it's about a big breakthrough in 2014, and they've worked long and hard to try and do it. He's been the shining star in the Nissan Pack this weekend, Caruso. McLaughlin lifted in the last lap to try and hold back that margin. Scotty did a 10.9. Michael Caruso did an 11 flat. It's officially 0.3 of a second, but he's right there, Michael Caruso, right in the draft, and absolutely not lacking to a millimetre in a straight line behind that Volvo.
Absolutely right. You can see the brake disc glowing now into turn 3. Check this out. He's right behind. This is close enough now out of turn 3. Now the trick is move it out to the right, dummy to the right, and fire down to the left. You don't need to be on the outside. Here's the crisscross coming. If he can get down the inside before 5, can't quite do it because Scott covers that and holds him back to his speed.
Patience will be critical. Slowly but surely, Caruso's been in a better position here, whether it's balance or tyre behaviour. He doesn't want to force too early, but if the gap appears, he'll grab it. A little touch. Can't afford too much of that. Now he is right under the rear wing of the Volvo. If he gets through 1 and 2 cleanly, and he could have some aero understeer here, which means he's copping disturbance from the preceding car, he could be in a good spot when they get to the braking area at 3, but he must get off this turn in the right spot, and that's if he can find it.
Well, and that's the part that's really important, is the patience at the start of the corner. It's too easy to run in there too fast you end up too close to the car in front, which affects the front aero. You need to be back a little bit. Come from a car length or car length and a half back and come off the corner better. You want 3 or 4 kilometres an hour on the car in front to make that move stick. He's got a good run now out of 3. So now you've got to fade across to your left and flick down to the inside.
What Michael's able to do at the moment is drive on the ideal racing line where Scott is compelled to sneak the car a metre left or right. And every time he does that, he'll compromise his ideal mid-corner speed. This is giving an advantage to Caruso at the moment. McLaughlin's got to drive as accurately as he can and to a degree keep half an eye on what's going on behind. He's definitely got more strength mid-corner at the moment, Caruso. He looks strong in the middle of 3, strong in the middle of 6. He's also coming off 6 very nicely.
The problem is for Michael is he'll be looking in the mirror saying every lap that I don't get by is one Jamie Whincup catching me. And he's taken that gap now to 1.4 seconds. Caruso, Whincup's the fastest guy within this group because these guys are battling.
Caruso just broke it into a little bit of oversteer that time as well. So just started to slide around in the rear ever so slightly. Green boxes indicate there's some real pressure on from behind as well because Whincup is joining the party. You can see a sniff of the Red Bull Holden in the background. There's the official margins on the Coates Hire leaderboard. Caruso's weaving every which way. We'll take the opportunity for a quick break. When we come back, we'll watch the fascinating conclusion to this 100K race this afternoon.
Let's get on with it. 11 laps to go. We're all that, mate. We're all over it, mate. Just have a deep breath, have a drink, get back in your rhythm, mate. We've still got a good result here. Excellent recovery. Hey, just watch your head into 1, mate. It's a little bit hot into 1.
Welcome back to Queensland. It's on for the Coates Hire Ipswich 400, and Caruso diving down the inside here of McLaughlin, tags him, spins him. The battle between Sweden, Japan and Australia, it just got ugly. What a shame. So Michael Caruso is going to be penalised for that for sure. Here it is again, Mach 3 replay. A lunge down the inside at turn 6. a late lunge, sneaks up the inside, tags the right rear corner of Scott McLaughlin, car number 33, who's recovered quite well, by the way. Here they are off the exit of turn 5. This is what we talked about earlier, about just trying to find the right moment. Michael Caruso thought that was it. Race control does not agree. There's an outstanding black flag here. Steve Todkill, engineer for Michael Caruso, who formerly worked at Gary Rogers Motorsport. Great frustration inside that garage. And this one. Disappointment all round. And this will mean that they ultimately hand the race lead to Jamie Whincup on a platter.
Black flag and flag drive-through penalty.
Voice of Tim Schenken, race director. That's the second call on that one. There's a period of grace where he can argue that, but he can't hang on with it too long or it'll actually compound.
Gee, Gary Rogers, you've been around long enough to see that happen. It won't be the last time we see it happen, but your reaction to Scotty's spin there?
Oh, I mean, you know, you hate when those things go on. It's racing, happens every now and again. You just got to grin and bear it, get ready for tomorrow and do your best, because you will never stop it every time, and you don't like it, but you just got to cop it.
Good reaction, Gary. You're getting mellow, aren't you?
No, I'm angry.
Good sportsman, Gary Rogers, good bloke. And he has seen it. He's been a driver. He understands what it's like to be in the heat of the battle. And now Michael Caruso responds. Pit lane drive-through penalty. When the anger's up and the blood's up and the heart rate's up, half the battle here now is to try and sneak through the pit lane without making a mistake and copping a subsequent penalty. So Whincup to the lead of the race, but he's got pressure from his teammate, Craig Lowndes. Now, interestingly, McLaughlin got back on, and he's in 5th behind Chaz Mostert. Great recovery. Caruso's going to go all the way virtually to the bottom of the field.
And it looks like, as you said, Lowndes is turning the tables on Whincup. He looks like he's got better speed at the moment, Rihanna.
Sinclair, General Manager of Racing Operations here at Nissan Motorsport. We saw the faces of you guys when Michael Caruso made that move on Scotty McLaughlin. You guys were hugely disappointed with that, but that's what happens.
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing. I mean, it was great to be in that position to have a Nissan Altima up the front there, and you know, we didn't pull it off today, but it gives us confidence to go into tomorrow and the rest of the year. So disappointing. Michael will be disappointed, his guys especially, but we'll be back tomorrow.
You could see how desperate Michael was to get that win for you guys, but what's your opinion on his move?
Yeah, well, I saw it over the fence here. You know, until we look at it from the in-car, I mean, it looked fairly obvious, but you know, the Triple Eight cars were catching up. He had to make the move sooner or later, so disappointing, but we'll be back tomorrow.
The positive is the cars are obviously quick this weekend.
Yeah, it's good, and it's the kind of track where if you get it right in the setup, you can storm away. So we'll look to do that again tomorrow.
Thanks, Scott. Good luck for tomorrow.
Scott Sinclair there, Jack Daniels Racing at Nissan Motorsport. He worked successfully with James Courtney for many years. Great battle going on here between Winterbottom as well and Scott McLaughlin, who now finds himself in the middle of the pack. The lead, Nissan becomes Rick Kelly. I did hear Michael Caruso complaining that he felt that McLaughlin moved over under brakes. There'll always be two versions of these stories, but I dare say he'll have a bit to say at the end of it as well.
Well, what's important is that, and the pressure that Scott Sinclair was just saying, that's absolutely right. When you see the other guy coming, it puts pressure on you to make that manoeuvre, as we watch the Mach 3 replay of Winterbottom getting down the inside on Nick Percat at turn 2. But what's also important, Croppo, is that you maintain control of the car. That's actually the real point. So we're on board for this pass that we just saw from the outside. That's Winterbottom down the inside of Nick. And that's a nice manoeuvre.
He actually dropped it down a gear there to be able to get off
the corner.
Turn 2 nicely.
But, and this is another manoeuvre now with Mostert, with Van Gisbergen. This is a pretty healthy battle in the back of this pack now with Mostert and Van Gisbergen. That's 3rd and 4th. Rick Kelly, Winterbottom and McLaughlin. McLaughlin's going backwards since rejoining. Nick Percat's now back at 8th in front of Garth Tander.
And in the closing stages of this race, this would put young Chaz on the podium. Remember his performance here last year as well. This is a place that he's clicked well with.
So what I was saying about Caruso is that the real manoeuvre is that when you've made the dive, the guy in front can't move across in front of you. That's one part, which is what obviously Michael's complaining about. But the second part is that when you get to the corner, you're under control. And I would argue that Caruso was too deep, was going to run wide by himself, and Scott was just in the way at that stage.
Tander and McLaughlin are roughing up here now as well. So Scott's on the inside and he's returning serve, trying to position Garth higher and wider on the road down there as they get down towards the left-hander. They've got Nick Percat just in front. Fabian Coulthard in this as well. Tander looking to try and crisscross up the inside. He can't get too racy and adventurous though because he's got Fabian all over him. Actually dropped off the curbing slightly then. Garth came off turn 5. This has been the trouble spot today, turn 6. We've seen a bit of action there, we always do. Interesting cooler temperatures now, tracks rubbered up, and hearing lots of people when they get down here into turn 1 in 5th gear with this gearing, 234 kilometres an hour on the rev limit down there before they put their foot on the brake and turn it in and sneak through the first couple of turns. It's pretty quick.
This is a good battle. Rick Kelly started 6th up to 5th, and Mark Winterbottom, who's shown really good consistency late in both these races, got caught up with Courtney in the previous race. Look at the brake disc glowing on the Nissan Altima now. So Rick, on behalf of the Nissan Altima team and the Nissan factory, is now the lead car for them after the drama with Michael Caruso in 5th position. So Whincup Lowndes is only 0.25 between them. They're still battling for the lead. Mostert to get on the podium. Van Gisbergen's done a good job, just up the road a little bit from Rick Kelly. Mark Winterbottom harassing the back of Rick. Nick Percat in behind there with Garth Tander. Look at this for the lead.
I remember we talked about it earlier today. 6 points the difference between first and second. 75 for a win, 69 for second. Lowndes is not letting go here at the moment. He's all over the back of his teammate. Jamie's already got a win on the board so far today, if you missed our coverage earlier. But what is happening at an alarming rate for Ford Performance Racing at the moment is with Winterbottom in 6th and these guys up front, that championship lead that he's got is melting. Lowndes, thought about it, tried hard.
Not over.
Not over. Would have had plenty of brake temp there. There are 5 spots around here in 6 brake applications where they're using maximum brake pedal force to be able to stop the car. It's more than 1,000 pounds per square inch in the old language, but it just simply converts to pushing very, very hard to stop the cars.
4 of those 5 stops are over 1,000 PSI of brake pressure. It's one of the highest brake demand circuits of the year, and late in the race, as you can see, the amount of work that the front brake rotor does as it glows into turn 3. There you go, they've got to talk both these guys into this. They certainly don't want to make contact, but at the same time, this championship is on. 2 of the very best operators in the best team. And definitely Lowndes has come back. He was not as competitive at the end of the previous race.
That's a telling graphic as well, because these 2 have got a 10-second cushion over Chaz Mostert at the moment. Then that next group are not separated by terribly much. This has been handed to them.
Yeah.
So they got away with this one. That didn't quite have the pace, although we don't know where it would have trended in the back end of the race, but it certainly would have been an interesting battle to watch the 2 Red Bull Holdens mixing it with the Volvo and also with the Nissan.
Scott McLaughlin's got some damage because his last lap was a 14.6, so he's gone all the way back to 14th after rejoining.
This is a better run for Shane Van Gisbergen as well.
Oh, here we go. Some pressure now on Rick Kelly, series leader. Mark Winterbottom harassing the back of the Jack Daniels Nissan. Rick moves over and covers. He'll try to do the crisscross here, look for going down the left-hand side. Up here before 5, he doesn't quite get that done. Nice apex there for Rick. Caught a little bit of curb on the left-hand front for Winterbottom, which hurt the exit to 5, which doesn't then put you in close enough proximity for the braking area. Rick runs a little bit wide, he's done it himself. He ran too wide in the middle of the corner, and that'll position him up the inside. Winterbottom, there's a little bit of contact on the straight. Winterbottom now, he did this to Courtney. Got to slow it down more than he did before because Rick comes back the other way. Just like Courtney, Rick's back down the inside, exactly the same manoeuvre. Mark Winterbottom has exactly the same manoeuvre applied to him at turn 1 into turn 2. Has not learnt from that. And Rick Kelly, great job.
Nick Percat in this as well. 7th at the moment, car number 222. Still nothing between Whincup and Lowndes. Here they are, exiting turn 5. What an intense battle for 2 consecutive races.
David Couchy just said to Whitcup, he said there's oil on the circuit. We didn't tell him where. So he said, there's oil on the circuit? Well, just give me a guide. Give me a guide.
There's oil all over the circuit, mate. Don't know where.
Oh, he just said that. Don't know where.
So 3,100 metres to choose from. So be careful around all of it.
And when the sunlight's like that, you've got to just look for the shine. So the first thing you see as a driver when that's on, you just got to look for the shiny spot.
Lowndes just came off the corner slightly then. The front of the car came away from the apex. That's on still between Winterbottom and Rick Kelly down into turn 1. Change and exchange. And Rick up the inside. Everyone holds their breath in both camps. Trying to go through there next to each other is not a simple thing to do, but they did it. Well done. Professional manoeuvring there. And have a go at Percat here. He could be the beneficiary. Massive brake rotor temperature, both ends of the car. Nick Percat up the inside of Winterbottom. Mark is well wide. Nick's going to have to go the long way. One corner remaining. A pressure motor race, and it resolves in favour again of Jamie Whincup. What an extraordinary performance. Good pace. Right place, right time. Plenty of speed at the back end. And another magnificent performance from this young guy as well. Chaz Mostert, champion of the future. And how's the battle further beyond? Van Gisbergen's having a quiet run. You can't say that about the next group. It falls in favour of Rick Kelly. Jack Daniels Racing Nissan, well done.
What a great drive. That was a really good exchange and really good, fair, hard racing between Rick Kelly, Mark Winterbottom and Nick Percat in the closing stages. That was fantastic. And this man, how's his run rate over the last few race meetings now? He's just on the way back. He's working hard. He's just clawing this championship back into contention from Mark Winterbottom. And what a battle. 48 points now, the lead from Mark Winterbottom back to Jamie Whincup. He continues to just claw his way back in. And there's the face of the man leading the championship still. But it's evaporating.
Race victory number 9 for this championship season for Jamie Whincup. Career victory number 84. We talked a bit during the year about Lowndes closing down on 100. He's on 97 at the moment, but it's this man that keeps racking up the numbers. He's speeding towards 90 career victories in V8 supercar competition. And was showing tremendous pace even prior to the Volvo and Nissan drama at turn 6. So he was well and truly going to be in that battle anyway. And the secret to that has been their speed in the back end of the race. They've been very, very good in this area. Whincup composed, under control, withstood the pressure from his teammate, and the pit lane responds. So the unofficial result: Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes, Chaz Mostert, Shane Van Gisbergen, Rick Kelly, Mark Winterbottom, Nick Percat, Garth Tander, Fabian Coulthard, James Courtney. That's the 10. Michael Caruso did finish, but 24th, sadly, after a great attempt and showing tremendous speed.
Cruel sport, isn't it?
It's a hard game, and Scotty McLaughlin must have had some real drama there because he ended up 19th at the end of all that.
And he was just talking to Richard Holway, who was complaining about the manoeuvre from Caruso. And Richard said, very contained and very calm, said, race control must have agreed with you, mate, because a penalty was applied immediately. Jamie Whincup, you can just see there, these sorts of wins in times when you're fighting back in the championship are profound. They're very, very important, and this is a pivotal time of the year before the long distance races, Neil.
So he continues to narrow down that margin. So Red Bull Racing Australia and Holden, the Commodore gets another 1-2. Ford Falcon, Chaz Mostert, position number 3. Great performance, his Barrettes.
Well, Jamie Whincup, 2 wins today, and that championship gap now is back to 48 points between you and Mark Winterbottom. Nice spot to be.
Yeah, really tough race. Had got a bit of a sick engine. It kept dying on me, but thankfully it kept going. I think I might have something broken in the back as well, but no excuses. The boys out in front, they bolted. We certainly weren't the quickest car today. They were doing a good job, and feel like I got lucky in some way.
Now, you had your teammate Loudsey breathing down your neck there once again.
Yeah, Loudsey was right there. He was a bit quicker as well. So we didn't do much between the races, which showed. You know, everyone stepped up, and we were struggling a bit. But I think it's going to be on tomorrow.
Good stuff. We look forward to it. Congratulations, Jamie.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
And Craig Lowndes to a brilliant performance. Loudsey, I know you wanted to win a race here so badly, but a couple of seconds today, you'll take that.
Oh, look, yeah, right, Brett. I think that any time you're on a podium in a V8 supercar is pretty important, and especially as we're getting closer to the end of the championship. So I'm really delighted we made a change to the car between the races, and it was obviously much stronger on its tyres. So I'm not too disappointed. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to get a much bigger race. Jamie did a fantastic job. We put a lot of pressure on him, but, you know, he didn't make a mistake. So, look, 2 seconds, as you said, is not too bad.
How close did you get to finding a lunge to get past Jamie?
Well, it's a little bit difficult when you get close to the back of the car in front. You get a little bit more understeer than you like. So I just couldn't get off turn 2 as good as I wanted to. But as I said, he didn't make a mistake. So, look, that's the best I could do today. But hello to Levi and Chile, and bring on tomorrow.
Good champ. Well done, Loudsey.
Thanks, Fred.
Chaz Mostert, well done. Gee, you must love this place. A win here last year, back on the podium again this year. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic place for me. I had a win here last year, and to get a third today is fantastic. We really struggled in the first race, so it's a credit to our boys at FBR for really coming up with a setup for that race. And we didn't quite have the pace of these two Red Bull cars, but our Pepsi Max Falcon I think should be right up there tomorrow if we can just tune it up a little bit more overnight.
Right, Chaz, so tweak it up tonight, come back and have another crack tomorrow.
That's it. You know, it's the battle of the drinks at the front here, so we've got to try and get the Pepsi Max up on top of the Red Bull.
Oh, well done. Welcome to the podium. Enjoy it.
Okay.
Hey, Mick. Good. Sorry, Scotty. Firstly, keen to grab a word. What Mick Caruso have to say?
Oh, he had to have a go. Look, I don't blame the bloke for having a go. I mean, it's just one of those things. I think I had to make the turn, and I had to turn in, and it's just racing, man. I would have had to go if I was in second place as well, and everyone makes mistakes. So
such a marginal call, isn't it, mate? Because had you have left the door open and let him through, you'd be doing that for the rest of your life, and that's the hard call. Did he apologise?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm pissed off, but at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes. Move on. We've got tomorrow, and enjoy it. But I'm good mates with Michael. Makes it a bit awkward, but we'll work it out with men. So I'm just turned into a man. So I'm 21 now. So it's all good.
Good luck tomorrow, mate. The car's fast, that is for sure.
Yeah, it is. So we'll be all right. Thanks for all the fans. Thanks.
Yeah, so a wild day at the office for the boys this afternoon. Race number 24, unofficial results confirmed there for you. Coates Hire, Ipswich 400, Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes. A tiny margin again. It's been a solid day for them. They're banking lots of points. Mostert, a terrific performance. Second podium in subsequent years. Then Van Gisbergen, nice performance. Best of the Nissans was Rick Kelly. Looking further afield, Scotty McLaughlin, who we just heard from, ended up down in 19th. Not a lot of consolation for that. Very hard work and very frustrating for Michael Caruso as well, but man enough to go into the garage and have a polite word. So good to see the sportsmanship there with the two of them actually getting together and having a chat and resolving it. Let's get down to the podium now and celebrate with Barrett's.
Introducing our winning drivers from race 24 of our season. Would you please congratulate in first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. And in third place for Ford Pepsi Max crew, Chaz Mostert. Representing our winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, is Mark Dutton. Making the presentation of the winning trophies for race 24. The third place trophy being presented by Councillor Victor Atwood, Deputy Mayor, City of Ipswich. Presenting the second place is Ian Berry, the member for Ipswich. Presenting the winning team trophy is the Chief Operating Officer, V8 Supercars, Shane Howard. And making the presentation of the first place trophy is Richard Greenwood, the Queensland Sales Manager from our naming rights sponsor, Coates Hire. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 V8 Supercars Coates Hire Ipswich 400 Race 24 winners.
Solid day at the office. It's now a 48-point margin between Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup. Remember, we started the day at 96 points. That number keeps on getting smaller. That gap is diminishing. Craig Lowndes still in that battle. Next, it's Coulthard, followed by Van Gisbergen, and then Courtney, McLaughlin, Tander, Chas Mostert and David Reynolds there, 565 points behind 10th place in the championship. Remember, we've got a lot more racing to come tomorrow as well, and it gets more complex with pit stops, dropping fuel, putting tyres on the car, but right now it's all about a couple of wins today for Jamie Whincup. What an extraordinary performance. 9 championship race victories in 2014. Go easy, Roland. Still got a big day of work ahead tomorrow.